Hi, my name is Adrian Barrett, and the film I was assigned was the film Hairspray, made in 2007. The film Hairspray tells us a story about a teenage girl named Tracy Turnblad who is starting high school and chasing her dreams to be on a popular TV dance show. The film is set in Baltimore in the 1960s, where during this time, racial segregation was still very much around. As seen in the picture presented in the slide, you can see the main characters in support with their fellow classmates and friends and their families in a protest march against racism. This occurred because with the whole dance show, there was only certain days that African American people could perform on the show, and it was like one day a week. And it was very much discriminated against. Like people ended up wanting to get rid of it. But they thought this was their way of like sharing the spotlight in a way. But throughout the film, it explores these adolescents' lifestyles during this intense and hectic time frame. The common theme that occurs in the film is self-conception and identity. Self-conception can be identified as the collection of traits and attributes that individuals use to describe or characterize themselves, or the way they think about themselves. In simpler terms, it's the who am I question. Tracy Turnblad, the main character, was characterized by her big hair and different body image and size. Tracy also identified herself as, of a larger scale and like indifferent and didn't really see herself as fitting into the school she was at. At first, throughout the film, she tries to accommodate these aspects with the more popular and cool kids by changing her looks and trying to be like more involved with them, even if it involved them making fun of her in the end. This experience was especially present when she began crushing on the popular boy in school and who was also on her dream TV show. He was characterized as, the hot, more popular guy who was also the star of the TV show, but at the same time was also dating the most popular girl in school, who was also the like popular girl on the TV show. She at first relied on a false sense of behavior, which essentially means that her behavior intentionally presented a false impression to others, more specifically the boy Link. This occurred in the film when the main popular boy, Link, got a detention, and she acted out in a rebellious way during class so that she would acquire detention as well, so she could talk to him and like kind of like be in the same room as him in a more secluded way, which wasn't like her at all to act out, which she ended up later admitting to him later on in detention because he thought it was cool, but then she was like, oh, that's not really like who I am. Despite how others viewed her in the film and treat her because of those differences, she understands her value and who she is towards the end. Although around this time in life, a lot of adolescents are just learning who they are and how they want to identify, this is a constant changing factor, especially during a person's high school years, where they can be viewed as more vulnerable to ideas and conceptions about themselves, both by others or by like their own thoughts about themselves. In Hairspray, the adolescents are portrayed as a group of kids who deal with the racial segregation in their everyday lives. Tracy, in particular, struggles with fitting in and finding herself, although in the end she does and realizes who she is and wants to be in regards to, how she's overcome these differences and mental struggles, and she ends up not really caring about what others think and their judgments. Her struggle And even with this, her struggle is still very prominent in the film. The film also addresses the concept of bullying due to the individual differences, both physical and the inclusion of race amongst these individuals. Both these topics are relevant and fitting for both the time frame and adolescence universally, as these issues of self-conception and identity still occur today. Adolescents are continuously trying to find themselves and constantly asking themselves, who am I? This question, as plain and boring as it may seem, has such an importance to everyone, as essentially it is the underlying question and reason to why we choose to become who we want. And while this question is always present in a person's life beyond adolescence and can be most common during this time, as even if denied, all adolescents deal with this question, which helps them shape who they are in the end.